Okay. Just realised I'm alive, and as alive as a story as Tiddalik the Frog. As it's a really big thing with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples at the moment to focus on reconciliation for all. And the theme of the reconciliation this year is Explore 2022 theme. The theme is From River to Sea, Our Island Home. I'm just reading from a Reconciliation New South Wales website. In 2022, we invite schools to be inspired by and engage with this year's theme From River to Sea, Our Island Home. I have chosen the story Tiddalik the Frog. About the lesson, we will watch and discuss a dreaming story, consider the importance of water, and build water habitat diorama or paint a picture, perhaps using some ochre paints. The year level is kindergarten to year 1. The learning objectives: students will watch and discuss a dreaming story, understand the importance of stories to Aboriginal people, explore features of different habitats, consider why water is an important part of habitats, construct a diorama of a water habitat or paint a picture. Optionally, you could create a stop motion animation video set in their habitat. And also, optionally, you could measure how long different plants can survive without water. For example, the cactus or a tomato plant or a bush plant. We would compare the three, and young children could do this. The curriculum links to this English literature, ACELT 1578, which is to identify some features of text, including events and characters, and retell events from a text, PP. ACELT 1584, discuss features of plot, character, and setting in different types of literature and explore some features of characters in different texts. And that would be for year 1. ACELT 1586, which is optional, recreate text imaginatively using drawing, writing, performance, and digital forms of communication. Now, when I was growing up, we had no digital communication, and this is what they're doing in year 1 these days. Literacy, ACELY 1655, respond to text drawn from a range of cultures and experiences, year 1. Now, a lot of the lesson plans that I looked at involving Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students did involve the dream time and the environment, and did involve things like, the importance of burning, and really a lot of lessons were based around science. So this one too, because Tiddalik is a frog that can absorb a lot of water. Yes, he drinks, say, a pond dry, but he's made to laugh in the end, and he, expels all the water so that all the other animals can partake of the water and not go without water, because we all need water, and even a young child knows this, to survive. When they're dry, they want to drink. So when they're thirsty, they want to drink. Okay, science is another curriculum link, biological sciences, and even in the earlier grades. That is ACSSU 002. Living things have basic needs, including food and water. And a lot of these things are on PowerPoints. ACSSU 211. Living things live in different places where their needs are met. And even year one can take this in. The arts, which I'm very interested in, can involve media arts, that is ACAMAM 056, production of media through the selection and editing of sound, text, and images to communicate an idea or story to an audience. Year one. And I was amazed at this because at my mature age, I have trouble still doing a PowerPoint. Okay, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and cultures are also a curriculum link and very important one. That is 01.2. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities maintain a special connection to and responsibility for country and place. And this is something we really should all have. And I think we do learn this through this story. And 01.3. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have holistic belief systems and are spiritually and intellectually connected to the land, sea, sky, and waterways. Okay, the lesson plan. So I just went through the overview. So with the lesson plan, we will engage and set the scene. When is the last time that you were really, really thirsty? Well, actually, I am now. So I'll have a drink of water. How much water did you drink when you finally had a chance to have some? Well, I just had a sip because I would like to get through this. What is your favourite drink? Students. Well, mine is actually water because that's all you really want when you're thirsty. Were you ever on an outing and only had a little bit of water with you? Perhaps. Did you share it with others or did you drink all of it? Because this is what Tiddalik did. Okay, we'll watch a video about Tiddalik, a very thirsty frog. And the equipment and links that we have are Tiddalik the Frog 1 and Tiddalik the Frog 2. We'll explore, discuss. Can you name the animals in the story? What did Tiddalik do that upset the animals? Why was not having any water a problem for the animals? How did the animals try to solve the problem? What happened in the end? Do you think the story is trying to teach us something? And then explain. Tiddalik the Frog is a traditional dreaming story which originated on the east coast of Australia. The dreaming is a non-Aboriginal word used to refer to the time of creation, with each language group having its own word for it. For example, Noongar people call it the Nyitting, the Nyitting. The main character in Nyitting creation stories is the Wargle, a giant snake, not a giant frog like Tiddalik. And of course, we've all heard of the rainbow serpent. That's a very common theme story in Aboriginal culture. Dreaming stories can describe how the land and heavens and their features and creatures were formed, peoples' and animals' behaviours, traditional laws, customs and beliefs, the skills to survive on the land. The purpose of these dreaming stories is to teach young children about their culture and to listen to lessons learned from their ancestors. Discuss what message Tiddalik the Frog has about sharing water. This story is believed to describe a water-holding frog. You can show students a video about the species. These frogs burrow and stay underground during dry periods. They emerge during the rain to absorb large amounts of water, breed, and feed. They are used by Aboriginal Australians during times of drought as a water source. Now, even I didn't know this. And through one of our lectures, I think it was, or it perhaps just on NITV, did I see a story of people in the outback, Aboriginal people, and how they fossicked for turtles because they liked eating turtles, and these turtles also burrowed in the mud. I suppose that's how they kept cool, and they became a food source for the people. Anyway, so of course we need water to survive. Food is important too. Anyway, equipment and links. Silurana platycephala, a water-holding frog. Underextend and elaborate. Ask students to think about the different places in which plants and animals live. Show some examples of different environments. You can use photographs or a few short ABC education videos and talk about different types of living things living there. Name any water features which form part of the environment, for example, wetland, river, sea, lake, and discuss its importance in each habitat. Watch the story of Tiddalik the frog again and discuss how was the video made, what materials were used to make the animals and the setting. Provide students with a variety of materials and get them to create their own habitat diorama, which includes a water feature. Now, as a teacher, I think I would have a craft cupboard and, perhaps have some empty shoe boxes and some cellophane and, bits of felt, etc. And I would let the children create their own diorama, or similarly, I would perhaps one day have a day outside and hopefully where there may be some clay and we might mix our own colours and make a painting of our interpretation of the dreaming story of Tiddalik the frog, and just put our thoughts on a bit of canvas or on a bit of bark, expressing how we feel about the story using some of the traditional paints that Aboriginal people used, and Torres Strait Islander people too, and both. Okay, optional. Using Stop Motion Studio or a similar app, get students to create their own stop motion animation story about a thirsty animal set in the habitat they designed. I'm sure even perhaps grade oneers would even know how to use TikTok these days. Anyway, optional also. Pick 3 different plants, for example, a cactus, like I mentioned before, a native shrub, and a tomato plant, and run an experiment to see how long each plant can survive without any water, and discuss how different plants can survive in different environments. Similarly, I've heard that we need water, but people can survive for a couple of days really without water. Hard in the desert, but even my grandfather, who was Russian during the war, was trained to survive without water. I think it was a week, he said. But anyway, we need water to survive in the long run because most of our body is made up of water. Okay, equipment and links. A variety of materials which students can use to create their own habitat. For example, sand, mud, clay, stones, twigs, bark, leaves, blue cellophane, crepe paper or fabric for water, small plastic animals or animal templates to cut out and colour in, stop motion studio. I think this would be a fun activity anyway, and a lot of creativity would emerge, and a lot of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students are more hands-on, but other students too. I think it would be a good, like a growth and learning and yarning circle activity, incorporating literacy, science, and art. Okay, on evaluating and reflecting, why is it important for everyone to share and look after water habitats? Well, we need water to survive, and so do plants and animals. Can you suggest any ways that we can look after our wetlands, rivers, seas, and lakes so that they can be safely used by all living things? And remember, in some wetlands and rivers, we have crocodiles, which are like the king of that system. Okay, what can we add to our gardens to encourage more animals such as frogs and birds to visit it? Well, maybe we can put some frogs in. I mean, the frogs will come if there's a garden with a pond anyway. Useful resources. Water Corporation, ND. Western Australian Aboriginal Language Centre's contact list. So when I was perusing for some lesson plans and activities, I did see a lot from the Water Corporation, and I suppose this is a good thing because, we're going through climate change. We can't deny it. And this could be an extension activity. And, we really have to. I think a lot of children already know, or they take things in pretty well, that they know that, there is such a thing as greenhouse gases. And if we're going to take too much from somewhere, it's going to impact somewhere else. So if we're going to overuse resources, well, in the long run, our planet is just going to get hotter and hotter. And, when it's getting hotter, well, there's less moisture in the air. Anyway, I am getting a bit carried away here. But anyway, there's a lot of useful resources. And yes, by the Water Corporation and Duxter's ND, the Environment Overview. So that's another web source. And of course, in our readings, there was two very important people that I'll cite as well. Thank you. I hope you're not too bored by this long-winded video.